I'm Amanda Brown from HR. This is Sharon Vale. I'm sure a lot of you have talked to one or both of us. And we also have with us today Amy Mishka, who is the new Director of Benefits for the state. So she is coming to get her feet wet on this whole time and attendance operation. And so we will be handing the ball off to benefits, I'm sure, in the next few months. So from this screen is where we want to start, because there's a few things that we get questions about that start right at the beginning before you even try to do your timesheet. Okay? This screen, you'll notice where at the bottom is your time and attendance link, but this section on the side for notifications, if you are getting the email notifications, this is where you can look to find out who those notifications refer to. So you'll get the email that something is late or something is waiting for you to approve it, and this is where you can actually see that kind of listed out as far as, well, who's that email talking about? Okay, so this is another way for you to be able to keep track of that information. Okay, and then down here we're just going to go into the time and attendance. And I apologize, I am not familiar with using a Mac without mouse. So we'll do the best we can. Okay, so here we get a ton of questions about where are these dates coming from that is not my start date, please fix it. These dates that you're seeing as effective dates here mean absolutely nothing as far as your employment. This is basically brought over from the employment system, and it's generally maybe a date that something happened on your employment record, a change was made, you were promoted, you had a title change. It could be numerous things. It could be the conversion date from when we switch systems. So please don't worry about this date. If your accrual bill, your accrual rates are wrong or something like that, that means we have the wrong date. This date means nothing as far as time of attendance goes. Okay, so we're going to go in, and what we're going to do is I'm going to pull up a classified employee. There we go. Okay, so once you get into time and attendance, I know a lot of you have called and we've done a lot of corrections for you, we fixed a lot of things, we walked you through some stuff, but there are some large items that seem to be a consistent issue or question that people don't know how to either do or don't know how to resolve. So the first thing is when you get in here and you're looking at your timesheet, this is where you can see all the periods that you either need to do or you have done and whether they've been approved or not. If they are still in pending status, when you come in here, the pending one will be the first one that you see. So you're going to always have to go up and change the period if your supervisor hasn't approved your timesheets yet, because it will always display the last pending timesheet that you have. Okay, so that will be the period that will show up. Then if you're working on one, it'll be in working status, and that should be your current period if you're all caught up. One of the biggest things we've noticed or seen or have had issues with is people entering their time in and out. It's very important that you pay attention to the A and the P. People are wondering why am I showing all this overtime? Why is this giving me comp time? If you go back and look at your hours for each day and you see, oh, I had 19 hours this day, you obviously have to make sure that you had the correct A and P out for lunch, P in for lunch, P out for the night. So that's been one major thing that people have struggled with a little bit. So once you're filling in your timesheet, you can easily keep track here to make sure that you've entered the correct hours. If you're a 37.5-hour employee, you should have your 7.5. If you're a 40-hour, you should have your 8 hours a day. So that is a way for you to tell if maybe you made a mistake when you were entering. Okay? Now, any time that you have requested off, you do not put that you worked the whole day and then just request off the time that you weren't here. You're only putting the hours in that you were actually here, okay? Because when you do the time off, it's going to add those hours on. So if you did it the other way, you'd end up with too many hours in the day, okay? If you have anything pending time off, it's going to show in red on the timesheet until your supervisor approves it. And then it will move over to the right-hand columns under whatever type of accrual you use, personal leave, vacation, sick. Okay, did you have a question?
When, say like if I was here for 4 hours, and it's approved for charging 4 hours, but then when I go over here to enter the time that I was here, it doesn't add up to the 7.5, so then I have to go back and enter that I took my 7-hour lunch, even though I really didn't, just so that it equals the 7.5.
Well, if you're here for 4 hours, you should be putting 4 hours. Your request for time off should have been only 3.5.
Right, but it doesn't take it on my time.
Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that because that's been another big thing. So we will show you how that works. Okay, so really once you're going through here, it's pretty much going to be the same day to day. And then down here, if the pay period that this timesheet is for is not over, is not at least half completed, you will see that no accruals are showing up on the bottom. And that's okay, because it wants to make sure you worked half of the pay period before it gives you any accruals, okay? So that's why as soon as you get your time in and time out for half of that period, you'll notice that the accruals will show up. Anything to add on that? Is that about right? Okay, so we've had a lot of like, my accruals disappeared, or it's not that they disappear, but they're just not going to give them to you until you've worked half of the period to earn them, okay? Now, one of the very big things is requesting time off that has become somewhat of a issue. Now, this request time off page, it gives you a lot of flexibility of what you can and can't do, okay? Because nothing you do on here is concrete. It's not stuck in stone. It's not forever. If you request time off and it's approved and you don't take it, you can come right into the screen and withdraw it as if it never happened, okay? So this is just a feature that is required for CSCA due to the contract, but believe me, if you do something in here and you end up not taking the time off, there's no problems, no problems, okay? We're going to show you a little trick that I don't think most people are aware of. If you come down here, you can see all the requests that you have put through, and all you have to do as the employee, now even if it's been approved, if that day hasn't passed, it will still show up here and give you a chance to withdraw, okay? So all you do is click on withdraw, submit actions, and you're done. It comes right off your timesheet. It's like it never existed, okay? So if that is the case for you, then there's no problem to go back and fix it. We get that question all the time, like this is on my timesheet, I don't know how to get rid of it. Well, this is how you do it. You just go back to the request time off, down to your previously submitted requests, and you can withdraw them. Yes?
Excuse me. Can you manipulate the, let's say, you requested 3 hours and then you realize, oh, I only need 2 hours. Can you go to that and then manipulate it there as well? Or do you have to clear it out?
You can do it one of two ways. If you already submitted it for 3 and you need 4, you could just go to the same day and do another hour request.
Okay.
Or you could withdraw it and resubmit it for 4.
Okay.
Okay. So do you guys have any specific questions? Because I know this has been a hardship for a lot of people, figuring out how to do the request, how to get rid of it if they didn't take it, how it's going to show up, and all of that. Yes?
Where is the, could you point on the screen again?
Sure.
Where the withdraw button is, so I know?
Sure. Right down here.
Oh, okay, right there.
Yep, right down here.
Yeah.
Yes. Good point. I did want to bring that up. Yes. If you are requesting a week off of vacation and it overlaps 2 pay periods, you have to do them as 2 separate requests. So if you did, the 13th to the 20th, you have to do the 13th to the 18th, then you have to do the 19th to the 20th, because they cross over pay periods. You also have to do that if a holiday falls in the middle of that week and you're not working. So you have to do the period before the holiday and then the period after the holiday, okay? Yes, if you want to do Friday, Monday, yes, you can do it as a multiple day because it will not count Saturday and Sunday. Yes.
And then, when I did that, and I went to do the 19th and 20th,
Mhm.
I went in and do multiple days, to do 19th and 20th.
And it made you do multiple, or I mean, it made you do single, yes. We do not know why that is. I had put a call into SUNY on it because it shouldn't let you do a multiple day. I don't know if it's because you already had one multiple day and I'm saying, no, you gotta do two singles. It doesn't make any sense. There are things in the system still that we're trying to figure out. With SUNY, there's a lot of issues as far as when you guys request time off. The number of hours, it defaults to 1 because it's defaulting to 1 day like it would for UUP instead of the 7.5 hours. So we have people requesting time, not thinking to change it, and then really only having 1 hour off instead of 7.5. Okay, so there are things that we are trying to work on SUNY with. We were one of the bold campuses that even went all the way with CSE or classified people, so we knew there was going to be some issues, but I think if you just be patient with us, we will get there and we will continue to help you guys as best we can. Yes.
So every time you change the hours you may have entered or withdrew and changed it, will it send another request to the supervisor?
Yes.
You have to go
Yes.
through that?
Every time you do that, you're going to submit it back to the supervisor. Yes. So they will be notified that you made a change. Yes.
How do you put in when you're doing, like you've worked the morning and then you're leaving, like before you take your lunch? Do you just put the hours you work and then
Yes.
it takes off like your lunchtime?
If you're including the lunch to be part of your workday, then you should be putting it in. If you're not taking a lunch, then you should just be putting the hours that you work. And it will give you a warning, but it's irrelevant unless you work over 6 hours. Then you have to have lunch.
Just the first 2 boxes you use.
Yes, first 2 boxes. If you do not take a lunch, just put your time in and your time out in the first 2 boxes, and do not,
Till in the afternoon.
correct.
Oh, so maybe that's why I'm getting that kind of, it doesn't balance out to the 7.5.
Yes,
Because
that
I'm going to the beginning and the end.
Oh, no, if you are in and out with no lunch, just use the first 2. Yes. And we have a lot of interesting things that happen depending on what browser you use. I mean, we've had people submit 3 timesheets and their supervisor doesn't approve them, and the timesheets get completely wiped out, blank. And we're like, yes. And we're like, how does that happen, you know? So we try to get everybody to use Chrome. We found that with Chrome, it's been the best so far. It has the least amount of problems, and it doesn't tend to do some of those quirky things. But if you can't and you don't have access to that, then you gotta do what you gotta do. But yeah, just strange things, just random strange things happen, and yes.
Why does it tell us that we're tardy all the time when we're putting in our time? It tells us over on the side.
Were
that
you
we're
tardy?
No, never tardy. Let me tell you.
If you are putting in 7.5 hours, it should not tell you that.
Even if you're requesting time, like if you're requesting a half hour off at the end of the day, I know my coworker was, and it was telling her that she was tardy. No.
Dick, we're not pushing any beans. Don't be a rat.
They didn't do a request. Did they do a request for it?
Yeah, they didn't do the requesting until after it
Okay.
happened in March. and we didn't have board.
Yeah, if you've had those situations, generally, I mean, we've had quite a few questions about the whole tardy thing. You know, it really doesn't. I know we've had people that basically said, I don't care if anybody can see it, I don't want it on my record, you know? And so we've done what we can to try to figure out ways or why it's happening, and, you know, an alternate way maybe to enter things so it doesn't happen. But at this point, it seems like if you're going to be, you know, a half hour late and you put a request in for that half hour, it should work when you're putting in the rest of your
But
time
this
to
wasn't
show
even
that.
coming in late. This was coming in regular time and leaving a half hour early in the evening.
And then there
the
was a request for that
was
half
in-
hour.
Yes, but it said that she was tardy.
Well, if you want to send us anything like that happens, we're on SUNY because we want them to start fixing some of these things that shouldn't happen. You know, we've had people that have passed their anniversary date and their accruals didn't show up. You know, their bonus days didn't show up, so it's a case-by-case thing right now, that if you have something that's going on, please let us know, and we'll do our best to figure out what's going on and get it fixed. Yes?
I'm just curious, though, I know when this is forwarding the numbers to you, the employees' work schedule, what is
Yes.
the regular work schedule?
Yes.
So if that's in the system, and that's what the system is doing, but they may be flexing their, let's say, they might be flexing their time. So when they go in and they're manually entering their hours, if it doesn't match what was presented back on their March 20, and, you know, if they're bi-weekly
Yeah.
timesheet ending March 23rd.
We put all the CSEA classified individuals in here, and we indicated them all to have an alternate work schedule in case anybody was doing that. So it should let it go through as long as they're working the correct number of hours in a week.
But maybe it's still reading the original schedule, it's allowing for it, but it's saying, oh, by the way, you're tardy, because you, according to this, you should always
Right.
start at 8:15,
Yeah.
but you started at 8:30.
It could be, and if that is the case, that's not right. So that's something SUNY needs to fix if that's the case with that. Yes.
In regards to holidays,
Yes.
I have two questions here. One is, at what point does it populate into the fields? Because like Memorial Day is not showing, and if we're non-essential, we're not here, but it's not showing. And then the other question I have is, when there are holidays, do we need to enter that we took it off so that we, or like, how does it?
If you, correct me if I get this wrong, if you work on a holiday, you put your hours in that you were here on that day, and that will accrue the holiday for you. If you are off, say Memorial Day, you do nothing on your timesheet, and it's a wash. You don't earn it, you don't use it.
So is that what any holiday like Columbus?
No. No, it's not, I don't think it's gonna show on here because you're just not gonna be here that day, you're not gonna put any time on that day. And so it's gonna know you weren't here, so when you submit that time sheet, it's a wash. You don't earn the day, you don't use the day. Yeah, the system knows it's a holiday. The system knows that that is a holiday. We had to input our holiday calendar into the system, so it knows that, yes. I don't like how this does it. I like, the way they do it for UUP is a lot nicer, because it actually does show on the day that it is a holiday. And then you can put whether you worked or not. But this, I asked them last week because I had a bunch of questions about that, and I'm like, okay, so if they're here, they enter it, if they're not, they don't, and the system just knows. And they're like, yep. And I'm like, okay, this is the first holiday that we've had since CSEA went on, so we're about to find out if they told me the truth or not.
So UUP, do they follow that same pattern, that they don't work it, they don't? enter it?
Right, it's a wash, yep. If you don't work it, you don't earn it, you don't use it, which is opposite of how things used to be done in paper timesheets.
Right.
Yes. Everybody would, say that they earned it, and then they say that they used it the same day, and yeah,
Right.
yep, yes.
Time that I know it wasn't entered in the beginning, but mine hasn't caught up yet.
Okay,
It's gonna be adjusted.
yes, we have probably need to go through that spreadsheet and start doing those. We've done a lot. If somebody's notified us, we'll go in right away and do it. What happened is because when we loaded, it was the pay period that included April 1st, and for some reason, whatever, that has to do with whatever, it reset, or it took away everybody's comp time that we entered. So now they all show as negative, so we have to go back in and add them all back in. So if it's something you want done quickly, just shoot us a quick email, we'll take care of it, it takes like 2 seconds. And then we do have a spreadsheet so we know who we have to go back in, but it's been a little busy, as you can imagine. Yes?
Does your anniversary time have to be put in too, or does the system put it in for you? Your anniversary time.
Oh, the anniversary time will automatically be added to your earned accruals on the day of your anniversary.
Every 6 months. Yeah, every 6 months for that extra.
Yes, and then every 6 months you get 0.25 added to your vacation accruals so that it totals out to the correct amount of days for the year. So this is an adjustment. This used to be done, I think people usually did it on their anniversary. They would get the whole extra hour, or the whole extra 0.5. Now it's split because in the system they do it 0.25 on your anniversary and then 0.25 6 months later. Yes.
Should overtime be going in the overtime column or should it be going in the comp time column?
If you're 37 and a half hours, you would get comp time up to 40, and then if you work over 40, it should go into the overtime column, correct?
Alright.
Yes.
Now, do you have to do paperwork for that to get paid for it, or do you automatically?
Yes, this is not a payment system at this point. That is a future enhancement that they will do, is that this will then speak to payroll, and there will be no more need for the paper, but right now, if you want to get paid for your overtime, you still have to submit the overtime voucher. Okay? Yes.
My time sheet had to go to Albany, so that's what they said when I called. I think I talked to you. She said you had to do something in Albany with them in order for them to get fixed.
In a lot of cases, we have had, yes, we've had to send things.
So when will I get them back? Do you know how long it's going to be? Because I haven't done anything because I don't have them.
What's your name?
Pardon?
What's your name?
Pardon.
Parton. Write that down. We'll check on it. We'll check on it. Let's get back. Yep. Yes.
I don't mean to bombard you with questions here. I don't know if we're gonna go over it later, but could you please just one more time, tell me how the, family sick leave thing works?
Sure.
I've read it, like,
Yeah, no, that's a good thing to bring up because that's another thing a lot of people have had a question on. So when you go in and you request time off and you want to use family sick time, great, that's fine, you can do that. If you take 7.5 hours of family sick time, it is going to be deducted from your sick balance and it's going to track it in the family sick leave column because that is something that you only get to use a certain number of days in a contract year. So that column is just a tracking mechanism. It's not adding anything, it's not taking anything away, it's just literally tracking, like if you use 7.5 this month and you use 4 next month, then you'll see 11.5. So it's just adding up the days that you've used for family sick, that's all that column's doing.
How many days do you get for that? I mean, can you take, do you know?
You get 15 a year. Resets December 31st. 15
For family sake.
for family sick.
Now, when you're saying how it tracks, on these accrual balances,
Yep.
it shows, say, 7.5
Yep.
on your ending balances.
Yes.
So why does it show as a 7.5 stay under my family sick when it's really not a credit? It's really, that should be just what I use.
Well, if you know,
It's in that shaded area on mine.
this is whatever balances here are going to be the beginning ones on your next time sheet. And that is still tracking. It's not doing anything. It's going to carry forward every month and say, okay, you use 7.5 this month, you use 10 next month, now you have 17.5. Because it has to track it so that if you get to the maximum number, you'll know that you can't use family sick
It just
anymore.
makes it look like I have it to use.
Well, you do not.
yeah.
So, you can try, but, yeah, really it's just your vacation, your sick, your personal leave, and your comp and your holidays. That's the time that you have to use. That's just a tracking mechanism so that Benefits has an idea if anybody is going over the maximum number for the year, and
This is just
it's
a
based on the
drop-down
contract.
box because I have it, and there's a couple faculty that I'm taking care of their timesheets, and they have this now as well, tracking, and all of them come to me and said, I didn't use this, I didn't put family sick leave. So do you think it's just a case of hitting the
Maybe they're selecting the wrong accrual type, yes.
Okay, so I'll probably be talking to you soon, maybe.
All right.
Me too.
Oh,
Yes.
she's so excited.
It's daily.
Yes.
When we're charging family sick, is that coming off our family medical or FMLA?
That's different. Now, FMLA, you have to obviously have applied for and be approved, but that is also a choice when you're taking your time off. You can put that as your reason, adjustment reason, family medical leave, or FMLA, and that will show. So you can use the time you would use, but then you can put that as an adjustment reason, and that will show that you used that time.
And the other question, can you go up?
Sure.
Where you enter the times? So I've been entering the times, and when I take time off, let's say, okay, so I leave for my son's doctor appointment. How does it know it's family sick? Like I haven't, all I've done is put in the hours that I work,
Okay.
and then,
When you do your request time off,
oh,
that's where you're going to indicate what kind of time you're taking off.
oh.
So when you do the
And then
request
it'll
time
say
off,
automatically, and oh, okay.
right, when you do this, you're going to have the pop-up here that's going to tell us,
Right.
are you using family sick, are you using sick? And if you are, using one of the non-chargeable types, you can indicate that. But if you're using, if you're using sick time and then it's going towards your FMLA, you would select it here.
I see.
And then that would show up on your, yep,
Okay, all right.
yes.
Now, what if you have like a family emergency that you need, an hourly care and all of a sudden you call and you have to leave? You don't have it pre-approved.
That's okay. I mean, people call in sick every day that it's not pre-approved. You just do that when you come back. It doesn't always have to be done before the fact.
Personal time, you need
Yep.
that pre-approved also?
That I believe you do, are supposed to have it pre-approved. But, I mean, there's some departments that are very much sticklers to make sure that they do, but is it I don't know which one it is. Do you know, Amy? I know there's one that you're supposed to have approval for. Personal time should be fine, that's your personal time. A mental health day, and whatever, yeah, so that should be okay. But really in the system, you don't have to really do anything beforehand unless, that's how it's supposed to be done. But the system's not gonna tell you can't do something. You can. And, I mean, the system isn't gonna not let you do it. Now, because CSCA says you're supposed to give your supervisor how many ever days notice, that's how it should be done. But, I mean, I think a lot of people do that by email or whatever else. So if you're doing that, you're still notifying your supervisor. But eventually you have to put it in as a request. Yes.
Now, when you're taking just a partial day on this,
Yes.
Do you have to put something in your comments?
Yes, you should.
That's
If you're
what I
taking
thought.
4 hours, you should be telling your supervisor which 4 hours those are. Like I'm taking 9 to 1, or I'm taking 1 to 5.
Okay, so in the comments, you would
Yes,
just
you would
write,
just
I'm
put- yep.
leaving out at such and such.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
You're taking less.
If you're going to do that, if you are going to, instead of to actually taking time off, you're just going to rearrange your schedule for the week to cover that time, you're going to take a shorter lunch, or you're going to do whatever, you shouldn't really be requesting the time off because it's going to think that you work too many hours. So really, if you're going to do that and you've made that arrangement with your supervisor, you shouldn't be requesting the time off, because then when you go to put your hours in, it's going to say, well, you worked too much time. So if you're working it out within a pay period, now keep in mind, this has to be within your week, okay? The week that you're working has to be 37 and a half hours. If you come in a half hour late today, you should either leave a half hour early, or stay a half hour late, or come in early the next day. It has to be within a week that you're making that equal, that you're equaling up to your 37 and a half hours. You can't take a day off this week and then work an extra day next week. That's not going to work. Okay. Anything else? Okay, so I wanted to talk just for a few minutes about the whole supervisor role, because I know some supervisors had a question of how they really get in here and what are they looking for and what do they do. Ooh, that's not what I... Oh, there we go. All right, so let me get on here. should not do that. Why did I do that? Like Brown's not a common name. I don't know what I was thinking. That was kind of dumb. I really should have done that. She's here to keep me in line. Alright, so when you log in, you're gonna see your supervisor approver work roster at the top of your own time record. So a lot of people thought they had to go somewhere else, or it would be in a totally different place, or it would just appear on their own time sheet. And the fact of the matter is that you're going in like you're going in to do your own time, and then you're gonna click on your work roster at the top. And this does take a little while to load for some reason compared to everything else in the system. I don't know why. It's because I have one really awesome employee. Okay, so this is where you're going to go, and what this is going to have is anything that's waiting for you to approve. It's going to have any pending leave requests, it's going to have all the pending timesheets that are waiting for approval, and it's going to have a list of your current employees. So, if you're in here and you see somebody that's not supposed to be there, please let us know, because that has happened, and we can make that adjustment and get them removed, and nothing gets lost in limbo. So, if somebody's on your roster that's not supposed to be there today, we can remove them. They will end up on their current supervisor's roster, and everything that was on yours for waiting for you to approve will just go to the new one automatically. So it's not like their timesheets get lost in limbo if they're showing up somewhere they're not supposed to be. Yes? Okay, so yes, new employees. When we have new employees, there is a process in place that Amy is working to really get rolling to where the EPTF for any new employee will be directed to a time and attendance step in the workflow, and that is when they are going, the benefits unit will be adding the person to the time and attendance system. Now the reason for that is because that EPTF has to make it through the whole process, be entered into SUNY, into payroll, before they're going to even show up in here to be added. So that's why it's at the end of the process, but they are getting all the EPTFs if someone goes on leave, if someone's got to have non-accrual dates put in, if they're on sabbatical, any of that stuff, the benefits unit will get, and they'll make the adjustments in the system or add any new employees. Now for the terminations or the separations, if somebody's terminated, they only stay active in the system for 2 weeks. So, if we get the paperwork 2 weeks late, they might already be gone. Once payroll enters the termination, they might just disappear. So, what we are telling people to do, now we can get into their records and still see them, but they won't be able to get in, their supervisor won't be able to see them anymore. So what we're going to request that you do for now is have them print out their last timesheet, print it out, and just email it to Claudia like, you don't really work. So send your last timesheets to Claudia if you do know that somebody's going to be retiring or terminating, and that way, if it is late paperwork and the person ends up already being gone from the system when we get it, we'll at least have a record of it. Yes?
Now my 3 employees are showing up on my work roster, but I haven't been getting any email notifications at all regarding time sheet requests.
Are you a state employee?
Do you do them the day that they usually request things, or?
No, because I'm trying to get in the habit of going in and checking periodically just because I haven't been getting any messages.
If you want to send me an email, I can definitely look into it and see what those employees have done that. Because really the only time we know currently that somebody isn't receiving notifications is one, they've never been in the system, so they haven't authenticated a time and attendance yet. The second one is if you're a UDF or an RF employee that's supervising state people. For some reason, SUNY can't send them notifications. I don't understand why, so we are working on that as well. I think that's kind of silly. But if that is the case, you will not get notifications. So we just ask that people maybe go in once a week and just see what's there.
Would that be why a state person supervising UBF isn't getting notifications either? Because that's what's...
Well, if a state person, UBF employees aren't in here, so that wouldn't...
Okay, yeah, because when it was getting set up, we were told that we would be getting all these email notifications when the UBF faculty were working on their timesheets, and I don't get anything.
No, UBF's not in here, so unless they're got their own systems.
Isn't it UBF? Isn't that them?
Oh, UUP, yes, you should be getting
Yeah,
notifications.
forget everything I said.
Yeah, UUP definitely should be getting notifications for them.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm not, it's not a big deal, but I was just.
It is a very obscure email, so I know a lot of people have claimed they haven't received them, and we've checked into it, and Cindy's like, they were sent one on this date, this date, this date, and they're like, I didn't get it. Well, it could be in your junk folder. It's a do not reply at suny.edu. It's very obscure. The subject line is just message from time and attendance.
Oh.
So if you're not looking for it, it doesn't pop out at you. So all I ask is maybe take a look, because you may have been getting them and not even realizing it. Okay, and if you're supposed to get more than one notification, say you have pending time records that need your approval, and you have a supervisor that hasn't done something that they're supposed to do, they try to concatenate all those messages into one, so you're not getting like 6 of them. Okay. Yes.
Would it be possible for the UDF employee that is accepting state timesheets, for them to get the notification if we gave that person a volunteer state, just to be a state identifier?
Yeah, see, people that have multiple appointments, like say that faculty and a volunteer, the time and attendance is linked with their faculty appointment, just like now it's linked with the UBF appointment. So I don't know that we could do that because they have to. They can't be in a volunteer role to supervise in time and attendance, so that's why we have to add them in there with a role of foundation or research. Yes?
Is it possible to retrieve a timesheet that's already been approved?
Absolutely.
So, because like, say, for example, the question I get asked about, say, taking 3 hours.
Yes.
So like, those have been approved, I'm up to date. But now I realize, going those 2 fields. I don't need to go back.
Yeah, there's 2 things. So if it's a request for time off, if that was approved, you can go in and withdraw it. If it's a timesheet that was approved, you need to send us an email and we can change the status of that timesheet back to pending so that the supervisor can send it back to you. Okay.
I'm not going to because it's still balanced. So
I was just curious.
I was just curious.
Yes,
It all
we
worked out.
can. If something's approved accidentally, I mean, we've had some departments that have been real diligent of checking every timesheet, making sure they're correct. We've had others that are just approving them, and then we're going back and saying, oh, how did you work, 85 hours in 1 week? Oh, well, because you had all A's and didn't know you were.
No, it's kind of like I just gave myself a lunch, but I didn't have lunch.
So we've,
Just
yes.
you know.
So we've had all kinds of interesting. Oops, I approved this. It was not right. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
I have a question about being sick and being late. Oh, this is for the supervisors though, huh? But anyway, my question for the being sick and being late, do you always have to put a reason in there if you're late or sick?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, you're just putting in there whatever kind of time you're using to take care of that period of time.
Okay.
That's all you need to indicate is what kind of accruals you're using to cover it. You don't have to put a reason. I mean, that's between you and your supervisor. I mean, I would think that would be a conversation that you would have instead of having to put it, through the system.
Thank you.
Yeah. And keep in mind that any comments that are made in the system are there for life and they will never be able to be taken away. So watch what you say and be nice.
Okay. Will do.
What else? So, you got anything else that you can think of? How many of you go in here and look at your pay stubs?
I like
How many of you have direct deposit? Okay. How many of you open your pay stub when you get it? Your advice. Oh my. How many of you would cry if you didn't get that anymore?
If you didn't get your pay stub?
If you didn't get your direct deposit advice statement.
You could go right into the system and see everything that's on there 2 days before.
2 days before you get it. Can you believe that? Monday mornings.
That's
okay.
nice.
You can watch. All right. Well. Yes, you can print it right out of here. There's I have to tell you, Sharon and I not only love time and attendance and have for the last 6 months, But yes, we also have to sort the state checks because one of our employees retired. So I really want to tell you that if we can get rid of direct deposit invoices, that would be huge. I mean, the amount of paper and FedEx and all this stuff is crazy. So let me just,
Every Tuesday, the entire day.
the entire
Sorting
day,
Ugh.
the entire day. Yes. So, Mark Holdren asked me, you know, you're going over to dental school today, just throw that out there and see what kind of reaction you get, because, you know, if you go down here, you can see your paycheck the Monday before you get paid, okay? And all you have to do is put in your birthday that's there, you can see them all, your entire history, you can print them out, it's beautiful. So just in case, that was a side note. Yes.
The red flowers, like a
I don't think it'll go forward.
No, it'll show your current check though, so, you know, when you get your, what are they, longevities or any of those other types of payments, you'll be able to see 2 days early, but make sure it's there and then, yes.
Is there a way we can say we don't want to get our pay stubs anymore in there?
That's what we're kind of trying to toss around some ideas of what we legally can and can't do as far as the state goes. You know, whether we do an opt-out or whether we figure something else out, but the point is if we threw that out there and half you guys opted out, we'd have to sit there and then pull those direct deposits out of the stack anyway, so it's just as much time.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
No, the state will not allow it.
Oh.
OSC is seriously a force to be reckoned with. They're just not budging. Even though SUNY has this available, they're saying it's not the official, but it is because it's coming from their data, so. Yes.
I'm just curious, I haven't gotten to this point yet, but in June, how we, here, you know, over the 29, 30 years, and does it automatically give you those extra
Yes.
vacation hours? It does.
Yes.
So I want to have to.
Yes. And if for some reason you don't on the day that you're expecting it, let us know because it could be an issue with the anniversary date that's entered. If there's ever any issue with your accrual rates or when you're getting your bonus days or when you're getting your personal leave, it's all based on the anniversary date we loaded.
Is it in there? Because I don't see mine.
No, you don't see it. It's behind the scenes, but it was loaded off of the spreadsheets that everybody sent to us. So if you see something like that, it's probably the anniversary date that we entered and we can go in and fix it and everything will be back to normal.
You have to, the CSEA, we loaded everything manually, all the spreadsheets came in and we entered everybody's time accruals, every anniversary date, your work schedule, your holidays and everything. Lord knows we're human.
So yeah, we made a few mistakes.
No mistakes made. There was a lot of like.
Anything else you guys can think of? Was this helpful? I mean,
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
And like I said, Sharon and I love time and attendance, so I know we've talked to probably half the room over here, another maybe more. So feel free to contact them.
Thank you.